Hey guys, I'm Pixel Dan, and this is a review of the Masters of the Universe Classics, Modulok. The evil beast of 1,000 bodies comes to the Classics line. Instead of the standard blister card, Modulok comes packaged in a fully enclosed box that is very reminiscent of the way the vintage Modulok figure was packaged. It features some incredible new artwork of the Modulok action figure, depicting him in several of the different ways that he could be taken apart and rebuilt. The back of that box features a look at some of the other figures in the Classics line, and even gives us a brand new bio for Modulok. Now it's worth noting that the box is glued closed, so it's hard to open the flaps without damaging them, and you won't be able to reclose the box if you ever want to store any of the parts back on the inside, which is a bit of a bummer. Now, on the inside of that box, there's a plastic tray that holds all of the parts in place, which I do really like. So as you can see, this figure comes with a ton of different pieces, almost all of which are brand new. This guy is 99% new tooling. Almost everything is a brand new sculpt. Among all of those parts, you get his basic torso, 6 legs, 4 arms, 2 heads, an abdomen piece, 2 different tails, 2 shoulder attachments to double up his arms, 1 neck attachment to double up his head, and his weapon. This means there are several ways you can mix and match the parts for different builds. But before we play with the builds, let's look over the sculpt on this guy. The figure features a mostly red color scheme and has beautiful amounts of shading to really help bring out all of the fantastic sculpting. The body is a lot smaller of a build than your standard male buck in this line, featuring some great details sculpted into the torso and some other parts around the shoulders and the legs. Each of his appendages are modeled after the way they appeared in the vintage line, and all have differing styles. For instance, one pair of arms are all red and just feature normal hands, while the other pair have some more monstrous purple accents and hands that feature white claws. One pair of legs feature green paint apps and normal feet, one pair with matching purple to the arms and monstrous feet, and a third pair that are all red with some large clawed feet. All of the paintwork and sculpting on each individual piece is really nice and clean, and does a fantastic job of taking the look of the vintage action figure pieces and really amping them up with some great textures and details. And that brings us to his head sculpts. The head that could be considered the more standard Modulok head features his trademark bulging white eyes and long pointy teeth hanging out of his mouth. His secondary head has a blanker stare with bright green eyes and antennae sticking off the top of his head. Both head sculpts look awesome and can work well individually on the figure or side by side. Modulok! We got a lot to talk about with this guy, so let's go ahead and jump right into it. First and foremost, let's look at the articulation on this guy, just kind of standing in the normal, humanoid pose here. The 2 legs, the 2 arms, the 1 head. Because the cool thing about this is that all the articulation still functions exactly like all of the other figures. So the head can turn left and right, up and down, but also that neck swivels. So actually he's got a little bit of extra articulation there. You got the great ball joints at the shoulders, so the arms can go upwards, forwards, and backwards. You got the swivels at the bicep there, the standard joint at the elbow, the swivels at the wrist. You still have the ab crunch articulation, the swivel at the waist. You got nice ball joints at the thighs there, so the legs can go outwards all the way, down, forwards, backwards. They're also double jointed there, so you can notice I can actually move the legs downwards, I can move them upwards a little bit. You can really get some great kind of poses out of them with all that. You can swivel the thigh there, you can bend them at the knees, you swivel them below the knees. You got the standard ankle joint and rocker joints on the feet, so this guy is ultra articulated when compared to some of the other figures. Plus he's got all those other limbs that we can add on to him. So many different things we can do with this guy, lots of different ways we can pose him. Now that you've seen the articulation on this guy, let me show you how the pop and play feature works so that we can interchange all of these bits and make this beast of a character here. We can add all kinds of different limbs and heads, so let's get into it. First of all, one of the cool things to note, like all of the other Masters of the Universe Classics figures, the head is removable and it's got this nice ball joint. But what that means is that this same ball joint is used all throughout the figure. You'll notice I pop the head off the neck, I pop the neck off the torso, I can pop the arms out of the torso, and they all utilize that exact same ball joint system. You can then pop the legs right out of the thighs there. Boom. Boom. You can hear it's nice and tight too, so it all clips into place very nicely. And this is what we're left with. Now, the only part that you can't take off of this figure is the torso from the crotch piece. Those are permanently attached. But all of those other parts are easily removable, and then we can add on all these other pieces. There's extra pieces included that allows you to do two-headed poses, to do four-armed poses. You can do lots of fun things. And the fact that all of these parts can kind of mix and match with each other and that they all share the same ball joints means that you can pop parts into different areas that don't even belong in those areas. So, I mean, if you wanted to do something as silly as like take this additional head here and, I don't know, stick it on his butt. We can put his butt on his head. You can do all kinds of silly things like that, so you can have a lot of fun with it. You can mix and match all these pieces, but that also allows you to create these different beasts. So you can have all these legs. Look, we can put it in there. We can have 6 legs at a time. We can pop on this extra part here, which allows you to plug in 2 heads at the same time. And all of the joints are nice and tight and solid, so everything holds into place. It maintains articulation, which means when you add all these legs, you can articulate the legs exactly the same. You can add the extra arms, articulate all the arms. You can really create some amazing things here. So I think anybody that, is a big fan already of, pop and play type of action figures, or, you remember having a lot of fun with the Modulok, this guy works incredibly well, and he is so fun just to mix and match, see all the different things you can come up with. All of those pieces are easily interchangeable, work so well, and allow you to create so many different types of creations. The possibilities here seem almost endless. You can create one-headed warriors, two-headed monsters, give them 2 legs, 4 legs, 6 legs, whatever you want. You can create fearsome foes or really strange oddities. You can even put the head on the butt, if that's something that you want to do. And since the ball joints are the same we've seen for every figure, you can even use the heads from any of your other Masters of the Universe Classics figures right here on the Modulok body. It's awesome. The parts are just so fun to pop off and mix up that I seriously found myself playing with this guy over and over again just to see what other silly or scary things I could make. And of course, where would Modulok be without a weapon? Just as in the vintage line, Modulok includes a black blaster weapon, which has the ability to split in half. This means that just like Modulok himself, the gun has multiple ways of display. It can either be one large two-handed blaster, or you can split it in half into 2 individual blasters. Alright guys, it's comparison time. Here's a look at Modulok standing alongside the vintage version, done in the same build that I always prefer to display my vintage one. Here you can see the amazing upgrade to the sculpt and the scale. So there you go guys, a look at Modulok. In one word, this figure is amazing. He's another character who I always questioned if we'd actually see in this line because his design is so different than most of the other characters. So the fact that we have him is exciting enough. But Mattel and the Horsemen really created quite the excellent action figure. The pop and play feature works so incredibly well, even better than the vintage figure thanks to all the ball joints. The pieces all hold nice and solid but are still very easy to interchange. Plus, he's got quite an impressive range of articulation to boot. There is one minor downside for Filmation fans though, as in that cartoon he was often depicted with 3 of the same leg. This figure only comes with 2 of each leg style, so without buying 2 Moduloks, you can't recreate the cartoon version. But even still, he comes with a ton of parts, and as I said before, he is so much fun to just sit and play with. And he looks absolutely fearsome displayed with the rest of the Evil Horde, a faction that is really getting quite massive on our toy shelves. Modulok is part of the 2014 Club Eternia subscription and was available in February on MattyCollector.com. So happy hunting, and until next time.